Hey, yo, it's me, Pops Van Marmalade, and you're watching the Comics-Related Madness Network. Huh? So come get some. CromCon. CromCon.
Hey, we want to shout out to our sponsors, Daytona Beach Comic Con. If you are a fan of comic books, if you're a fan of comic book conventions, and if you like meeting comic book creators and getting comics and comic-related stuff, then you need to make your plans to attend Daytona Beach Comic Con. This year's show is September 7th and 8th. Silverline will be there, so you should make your plans to be there too. We'll see you there. If you like comics and find yourself in the Orlando, Florida area, doesn't everyone come to Orlando at some point in time to see the House of Mouse? But when you're here, you need to make it a point to visit Coliseum of Comics, especially the one on East Colonial Drive. They carry Silverline Comics, even a limited edition Coliseum of Comics version of our comics. So, when you go, be sure to ask for Silverline Comics and tell them we sent you. OCD stands for Orlando Collector Deviants. OCD, Steve and Trish, they're a family of geeks who promote geek things, particularly those around the Orlando, Florida area. They're big supporters of Silverline, and we think you should be supporters of theirs too. Go give them some love. If you are an independent comic book maker and you need to get your independent comics made, you need to look no further than Kablam Digital Printing. They print our books, and they do a bang-up job. They're not only trusted by Silverline, but many independent comic book makers. Head on over to kablam.com and see for yourself just how easy it is to have your comic printed by them. And tell them Silverline sent you.
Hi, this is Tim TK, host of That Silverline Show on Tuesday. Join us at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific every Tuesday night as we discuss pop culture and the joys of making comics.
Hi, I'm Barb Kilber, co-host of Silverline's Wednesday Wham. Join us each Wednesday nights as we discuss comics, literature, movies, and anything else that may catch our attention.
I'm Roland Mann, and I host Silverline's Silver Sunday. Join me every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern as we make mine Silverline.
Hello!
Hello, everybody!
Hello, Internet. We are at Silverline Show on Tuesday. I am your host, Tim TK, and I'm joined as always by Mr. Quentin Bedwell.
Hello!
And we are talking about
hurricanes.
Well, that'll probably come up as we have quite a few people who are currently in that area. So hopefully they stay safe and followed all recommended evacuation orders and safety precautions.
Yeah, the Silverline head office is being bombarded by a crazy fella named Ian.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And Jose is on his way out of the area, so hopefully he's beaten it. But yeah, that'll be interesting to see how the news turns up over the next couple of days. So if you're in the area, keep your eyes posted on evacuation orders.
Listen to those. Listen to the news and make sure you're up to date on all of your, warnings and watches. Because there's a bunch of tornado watches and warnings going out. Yep. I've been keeping up with it, even though I'm way over here in Texas.
Yep. Make sure you don't buy more water or toilet paper than you need because other people need it too.
Yep.
Yeah. But
make sure you protect yours with your life.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. The I-4 is the Fury Road of the East Coast. So if you need a Med Max out of there, you can do so. But over here, we'll be talking about a quote from one Mr. Kirby. Comics will break your heart. And we'll be talking specifically about how do you stay passionate in what is such a weird and hard to maneuver industry, especially since comics Twitter is talking about this earlier actually. And we kind of made this joke during Daytona Beach is that the funds that are within independent comics Twitter just seem to go from one independent creator to another. So we all seem to be cycling each other, but getting new readers in who are not just other creators is seems to be difficult. So how do we stay positive when we're in what sometimes feels like a isolated bubble? we'll get into maybe perhaps even at the end the how do you stay passionate about it once you have broken out of that bubble and maybe you are working in mainstream comics and now you're facing the burnout of having constant deadlines and the pressure of I need to put out something new, otherwise what am I doing?
Yeah.
That is perhaps the benefit of where we are. We'll explain where we are in comics and our journeys. That we're at the point where comics do not cover the majority, if any, of our bills.
Yep.
So if we're not, if we don't put out something new every month, the burnout there is purely creative and emotional. We're not feeling that on our wallets necessarily. Perhaps our wallets are even doing a little better for that.
Well, I feel like if I could put myself 100% into it, I could do a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, putting myself 100% into it, what if I don't?
Right. Exactly.
So, yeah. So, if I were probably single or if I were a younger fella with a little less responsibility, I might try to make a go of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I have too many responsibilities to be able to do it, full time, full on. Yeah. I do have a sugar mama.
There you go.
But I don't rely on her too much. I make sure I bring home the bacon every bit as much as I can, and this I do on the side, to kind of scratch that creative itch. I wish I could do it full time. I wish the market was there to be able to do it full time. Man, it would be so nice. But that's the thing is that's one of the ways talking about comics breaking your heart is I always dreamed growing up that I could. This is personal story time.
Yes.
The life and times of Quentin J. Bedwell. When I was growing up, I've told on this show in the past how I found comics and my brother, he always was the gateway for me for a lot of stuff. And I really fell in love with the art form. I fell in love with comics. I really liked animation, but there may have been a couple times maybe I thought, boy, I want to grow up and do that. But mostly it was comics. Mostly it was like going through comics and thinking, man, I really want to do this. And of course, I had dreams back then. I didn't know how the business worked or anything. I was little.
Right.
And I thought, well, one day I'll just be a comic book artist and I'll get my name in print and I'll be rich. Right. Kind of like what a lot of people probably think of, celebrities and actors and all that kind of stuff, which, they do make quite a bit of money, but a lot of times they have to live in places that cost a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
If you get any kind of fame about you, you have to have security. So you're paying a whole entourage of people just to protect you now because folks are crazy and they'll, and what's funny is when you're not hot anymore but you're still famous and you can barely afford to pay the security, what do you do then? So that's something to think about. But anyway, by the time I finally got to where and I worked and worked and worked to hone my skills and stuff, and I sent in submissions from the time I was 12 here and there. And then like whenever I saw Rob Liefeld, 17 years old in the comic book industry, I was just like a couple years younger at the time. I say a couple, probably about 3 years younger.
Sure.
That really pushed me on, that really pushed me forward. And so I sent in more submissions, never could get on. But anyway, eventually I left it because, it just wasn't going anywhere. And I started, met my wife and all that stuff and got responsibilities and all that. But I finally returned to it eventually. And by the time I got kind of good enough to be in, the industry was kind of deflated. It was in the 2000s. So the boom and the crash had already happened.
Yeah.
So by the time I did get here, it was like there's no money in it. It's just something you kind of do for fun. You know, if you could probably make some money at it, but not, you know, you can really hope to. You know, I think sometimes we say stuff like that though, and you know, I think it's always that way. You know, until somebody makes it big,
Right.
you never know. You really never know. Uh, I mean, like, you know, I think of Eastman and Laird with the Turtles. You know, that was lightning in a bottle. Nobody would have ever. That all they wanted to do was be comic book artists,
Yeah.
and they just, you know, they had huge dreams of doing that, and you know, it was just magic the way it all went down, and then you know, here they are. You know, but anyway, so I got in. And it was a real disappointment because, you know, here I've worked all this time, put all this personal time in to try to get to a place where I could, you know, do it. And, you know, it wasn't only that it wasn't here or there wasn't a lot of money in it, but also, you know, you build things up in your head and you have all these dreams and notions of what it is or what it must be. And then you figure out that it's nothing like what you thought it was. You know, it's not just about creating, it's not just about, you know, there's a lot of stuff that surrounds it. It's not all creating all the time. It's not all sitting and drawing or sitting and writing. There's so much more that goes along with it. So in that sense, I was a little immature about it. It was a dream, and it was a dream 100%. You know, but anyway, so that was my first heartbreak. My first heartbreak. No, I wouldn't say that, because every time I sent in a submission and I got that little Spider-Man letter back that said, and the Batman letter back that said, you know, we're
Thank you for the
not,
submission. We'll contact you later.
thanks a lot, but you suck. Yeah, and here's how you suck, and here's how bad you suck. And anyway, you know, those were a lot of little heartbreaks, but you know, that was the big one when I finally made it, and then it was like, ugh.
Yeah.
You know, so you know, that was, but you know, I'll tell the other part of my story after you talk a little while. So
Sure.
what do you
Yeah.
what's the story of Tim?
Yes. Yeah, I got into, I mean, I got like been into comics since I was a kid, but didn't really think about writing them. That was one of those things where like it doesn't really necessarily strike you for a while, the fact that people get paid to write comics.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I knew I wanted to do something creative fairly immediately once I started, you know, got to the back half of my high school career. So I started pursuing theater, different forms of writing, and video production, and kind of did that while doing, like, you know, several day jobs strictly out of high school, which if you do want to perhaps get into comics and want to go like full bore, full speed ahead, want to get directly into, you know, making it your full-time pursuit, getting started when you have very minimal responsibility in high school, don't consider going to college, but also weigh the debt burden you would encounter in the States. If you live, you know, somewhere that's not an issue, sure, why not? But going straight ahead and pursuing either teaching yourself or taking community classes or even just reading, there are plenty of, you know, great resources out there now for free. We have an entire blog and video series about on how to develop your skills as an artist or a writer. I think that's the way to do it, is just pursue it when you have minimal responsibilities, and just send out as many submissions as possible and just try to elevate your skills at that point. But I ended up going to college and pursuing traditional publishing, which I found some success in doing short stories, and then leveraged that into essentially web article writing, doing some stuff in games and music articles, and now working full-time in web content as a form of marketing and all that. So in a way, I am working and writing full-time, but the heartbreak is that it's not full-time in specifically comics.
Yeah.
But whenever you do finish a comic and you get it out there and you see it in your hands, that's a whole other feeling when you actually see the complete product. But then when you perhaps don't have the best con, or if it's like struggling to get to the end of a Kickstarter, or if you're just not seeing the same traffic on your social media, that's when you can kind of feel the weight and the pressure wanting to perhaps kick you back into reality. But that's kind of where I'm at with my journey in comics, is still working full time in writing, just trying.
Well, that's me. I do art for a living. I when I started out, I did art. My first job was I did a little bit of reefing at first, but then I started doing for my local t-shirt screen printing place in our small town. I worked there for about 6 years, went from there to offshore, and then I got hurt offshore.
Nope.
So then I had to pick a desk job or some sort of because as far as me working from that point on, I hurt my back. So from that point on, manual labor was just not as much in the cards anymore. I mean, I could do it, but and I have had to throughout the years at different times. But so I became a teacher. Did that for 7 years. And then I started, I got back into the t-shirt screen printing after Katrina, by the way. And that's when I got that kind of rekindled my want to do art and stuff. I was doing art there all the time I was teaching and everything, but not really seriously following it.
Mm-hmm.
But I did really get into it once I started in the screen printing industry again. And because I really, there was all these new things that I could use. But anyway, what happened, I ended up publishing my own comic because that was another huge deal that, that's really awesome, is you can actually actually self-publish your own stuff now. I mean, yes, in a lot of ways, that you could say a lot of stuff like what we've already said about the industry and the state of it and all that kind of stuff. And it sounds really depressing and really bad. But at the same time, we are in the most interesting time of the end of the comic industry, because if you want to do a comic, you can just do a comic. I mean, if you don't have unreal expectations, as I explained earlier with my story that I had, if you don't have unreal expectations, if you go into it, knowing what you're getting into and having real expectations, realistic ones, if you want to get a story out there and do a comic, you can do a comic. All you have to do is do it. I mean, honestly, it is so easy now to do. There's, back in my day, there was no YouTube or anything. There was no way of, if you wanted to learn something, you had really to talk to somebody that was doing it. You had to like apprenticeship under them. And that's if they would give you the time of day, waste, their time on you. you know, and it was just a really hard time. And then on the printing, there was no on-demand printing back then, you know, so there was that whole thing. So there was a lot of gatekeeping involved. If you wanted to do comics, you had to go to somebody, and if they thought you were good enough, then they'd let you in. Well, now there's not any of that. There's none of that. You can do it if you want to. It just depends on what your motives are. If your motive is, I have something to say, I want to make a comic, and I want to get something out there that I like, that I love, then you can do that. Now, if your idea is, I want to be rich and famous and all that, let me tell you, folks, if you don't already know, you can be comic famous and nobody know who you are. I mean, I have, I know plenty of people who still have trouble figuring out the difference between Marvel and DC characters. I could draw Spider-Man and Superman on the same pinup and they wouldn't know any difference. Wow, that's pretty cool. And then I show it to Tim and he's like, whoa, what is that? Yeah. So if I did a picture one time I posted on Facebook, and I had Wonder Woman, Superman, and Batman, and Superman, he had a scarf on, not a cape, and he had He-Man's sword, and I gave Wonder Woman a gun, a pistol, a golden pistol. And I forget what I did with Batman, but the whole thing was just hilarious. And what it was just a troll. And really what ended up happening with it is it really became an experiment, because there were so many people that just didn't know any difference. My nerdy friends, they were like, it was just like gaslit them, what, man, what are you doing here? Man, this is crazy. This is nuts. And then the other people were like, man, this is so cool. I didn't even know Superman had a sword. It was like, yeah.
It does now.
Yeah. So anyway, you could be comic famous and nobody even know who you are or anything. But anyway, if that's your motive, is to get rich and famous, you're going for the wrong business anyway. But if you want to print a comic, if you want to get something out there, and get it to people, that's all up to you. You can absolutely do it. Yeah, Cassisi says
that's a great point. You can definitely publish your own comic. Do you guys feel as though the ease of publishing makes it so fewer people want to read comics because of fewer rise to big industry standards? I'm not sure if fewer people want to read comics. It just makes it so that you have a harder time getting in front of more people. So maybe fewer people want to read your comic in particular, but I feel like as a whole, more people want to read comics. It's just there's too many comics.
Well,
as far as there are some of them that do absolutely look like butt, and I think those ones do turn people off away from indie comics if there is not enough polish on your product.
And I'd also say, if you could be as good of a marketer as you are a writer, because let me tell you, like our Kickstarter, I just went over and did my survey. Do your surveys, folks.
Oh yeah.
Especially if you got the Kickstarter, you need to do your survey so you can get all your stuff, together, and get your stuff.
Without fail, we at least get 3 or 5 or 10 people who say, I didn't get my stuff mailed, and it's because they didn't fill out their survey.
Yeah. But while I was there, I was looking at some of the thumbnails of other Kickstarters that had just ended. Some of them were going on. And, I wasn't familiar with a single one of them, and some of them look pretty awesome. And I mean, but I hadn't even heard of them.
Yeah.
And, that's the thing, is you can have the very best comic in the industry, story-wise, art-wise. It can be the greatest thing that ever happened. But if nobody knows about it,
yeah,
it doesn't matter. because it's a great comic for you and whoever you show it to. So if you could become a good marketer, and I think that's where a lot of it is, is the marketing of it and you getting it into people's hands. If you can figure out ways to do that, then that is like the best thing to push you forward. And sometimes it's just a matter of, getting in with the right people and getting, you have to do the social media thing. Let me tell you, there are seasoned comic book artists from the 90s that, their generation of people who read them, they have their fans, their old school fans, but a lot of those fans are either dying off or they're just not coming back to comics. And what a lot of people don't realize is just because they were famous in the 90s, now because of social media, to be able to get to new people, they're having to start just like everybody else on social media and getting their social media up. Just like I am, just like Tim is, just like everybody. So we're all kind of on a level playing field here. I mean, sure, you'll keep getting business commissions and jobs from the people who know who you are from the 90s. But there again, if they can't find you and they don't know what you're doing, you have to get on social media. And it's all part of marketing. It's all. And BJ, Roland, and BJ, they have been really adamant about us, working on our social media and stuff. And that's such a good thing. And I'm trying to learn more about Instagram, learn more about hashtagging stuff when I post it and all that. And it's invaluable skills, So, the marketing, if you could be as good of a marketer as you are actual writer or artist or letter or whatever it is that you're going to be, that would help loads.
Having a good social media game. Also, if you have the time to do so, maintaining a blog that you update like weekly or monthly, just so you get like some Google visibility, as well as you can even turn that into promotion on your other social medias, is just pushing people to your blog, and that way you can cheat out the content that way. But kind of an example of this, did you know that currently Chris Claremont is writing a Gambit miniseries?
I had no idea. No.
Exactly. Chris Claremont, the guy who arguably one of the guys who made the X-Men as famous as they were in the 90s, he's writing a new Gambit miniseries, but I have not seen anyone talk about it. Everyone's only been talking about Marauders or the current main run of X-Force.
Well, he also got in a lot of trouble a little while. But I say a lot of trouble. He wasn't really in trouble. Just this new crowd that's making comics as great as they are today. He got really mad at him from some stuff that he said at a con a while back. He was just tongue in cheek saying stuff, and they couldn't handle it. Supposedly he's got a very, very old school sense of humor, and that doesn't work out well with a lot of these new age snowflakes, that are around today. And so they're not helping him get any kind of, any kind of press. But also, again, it goes back to social media. There's posting and all that. Hey, a YouTube channel, there's all kinds of stuff.
Any type of video is great. YouTube Shorts, TikTok. If you got on TikTok early on, you're probably doing real well right now.
Yeah. Another good thing is back in the day also, it was all about going out to conventions and hitting everyone you could and, putting your book in front of people physically, putting it in front of people. And now that's another thing that's taken away. You don't have to do. Now, social media is a lot of stuff, but it's not like you have to wait until you get to the next con or wait until you get to the next whatever, or put it in the paper or go down to your local store and, sit out there and hold it and try to sell it out to people. Those are all great ideas, by the way, but it used to be that it was the only way you could do it. And now you don't have to do that. Now you can just do the social medias and
social media. Also, just local community involvement is probably one of the best tools you can get into.
Oh yeah,
because people love supporting local artists. So if you have like a local coffee shop that you frequent, that the manager or whatever sees you in there when you're writing or drawing all the time, like, hey, I just wrote this book. Would you guys like to have like a copy just to keep in the shop, or talk to your local bookshop if you're in there frequently, and try and get them to hold on to them.
Imagine, back in the day too, a lot of these people go to these huge population centers like New York because there's so many people there. You can reach so many people there in Los Angeles and all these places that people used to have to go to. And by the way, like if you were an actor or something, you kind of still have to be in those areas to be able to get work, because you have to be there where the people are that, are at where you want, of what you want to do. But now you don't have to do that. You can be anywhere in the United States. And just as long as you got a social media presence or you're working on one, you can be in Portland.
Exactly.
Portland
is sort of kind of a comics meta, so maybe not the best example.
Yeah. Well, you can be in San Angelo, Texas. Yeah. There you go.
There we go. Yeah.
You can be Columbia, Mississippi. You can be Lucedale, Mississippi. You can be, wherever you want to be. And as long as you got some sort of social media presence going. What I was getting to, though, is second part of my story. So I did my comic, got it published, went out to a few cons, pushed it. I did sell all the copies that I'd gotten, dropped a lot of money on getting a lot of copies of it, sold them out. I was able to meet a lot of people, and I was kind of looking into doing it again. I got that's where around the time I met Roland, and we were fixing to do a title together. I won't say what it was because we may still do it. You never know. But anyway, at that time I had my father passed away. So I had, that really took me off my game as far as, doing anything creative for a while. Yeah. And right after that, we had my wife had gotten pregnant. So then there was like a new baby coming in. And then she got pregnant again. There's a new baby again. So that kind of put things, kind of cool things down on top of all this. And this is why I've only just now really gotten back in like the last 2 years, is because let me tell you, I got carpal tunnel.
Yeah.
And it was bad. Like it got to the point where, and look, I'm drawing for a living. I'm working doing graphic design and drawing for a living. And I'm starting to have thoughts like, I'm not going to be able to do this much longer. Like I've got a time limit on how long I'm going to actually be able to do all this. Cause I can't, unless I get surgery. And even, a lot of people had told me, even when you get surgery, it may not be 100% fix.
Yeah.
And it was bad. It was so bad to where like I would constantly be fiddling with my hands. I would draw a little bit and then I would have to stop. And then I'd draw a little bit and I'd have to stop. And it was so bad. In fact, I couldn't carry around the simplest item around Walmart without my hands going flat numb, both of them. And I couldn't hold anything in my hands for very long. Whenever we moved back to Texas, I did a 15-hour trip driving a U-Haul like this because it was so painful. I couldn't hold the steering wheel. I had to do the steering wheel like this. And it was just so bad. And I was just thinking, trying to figure out what I was going to do next. But as comics was like, ain't no way. Yeah. I didn't even attempt. I didn't even think of it anymore. I was just trying to think, how am I going to feed my family, after this. So eventually, finally, yes, it was super discouraging. And because my therapy, I'm going to tell you guys, is my art.
Mhm.
I have to have some of that time of getting into my own world. And, when somebody aggravates me, I got to be able to kill them in a comic or something, I got to be able to do something with it,
I do have a story about that also for issue 1 of Wolf Hunter. That is the thing that happens.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But it was very, very bad. But my wife, she got her degree in nursing. We got insurance. I was able to, long story short, I was able to get surgery. And it took about a year for me to get to where now I was able to do my regular job, my graphics job. I just had to, kind of fudge on a lot of stuff. But took me about a year to really kind of fully recover to where I could do lines. And honestly, my style has changed a lot. Since, like, if you look at the book that I did 10 years ago and you look at my stuff now, it's just a lot different because even back then I didn't realize it, but even back then I was having trouble. But I just thought it came with the territory. I've been at a long day of work and, yada yada yada. So anyway, whenever I got that surgery, I started working on I didn't think about comics too much, but I started working on games, and then the games kind of pushed me to, I put a story with my game, and then it just more and more and more started pushing me toward doing comics. This game has to have a comic. And that's what kind of got me to thinking about it again. And then I saw Silverline and Roland and all the stuff that was going on here. And that, I just rang him up one day and just like, hey, but I was thinking, hey, I'd like to help out somehow. I love what you're doing. I like, the direction you're going in. The rest of the comic book industry is kind of weird to me right now, but I like what you're doing. And if I could do some logos for you or something, and he's like, you want to do a book? And I was like, what? Yeah, well, let me see, but I was, on the inside, I was thinking, wow, yeah, I'd love to. But anyway, so that's how it really all got back going again. So, it was a long road, but, as far as how comics can break your heart, I mean, there's so many different ways, but you know what, as that it's like that with anything. If you want to be an actor, if you want to be a professional sports person, if you want to be a football player, basketball player, there's gonna be obstacles. I guarantee it. And if you're not willing, if you go in there with unreal expectations, or if you go in there thinking that you're just going to blow everybody away, you're nuts. It's just not gonna work out for you.
There was some words of advice that I once received that if you want to eat at the table that all the big boys are sitting at, like if you want to eat at the table the Jim Zub, Chris Claremont, all of them are eating at, you're probably gonna end up missing breakfast and lunch.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, probably one of the band-aids we should probably tear off. You mentioned that you had sold out your comic you had created at first. When you got it printed, everything. Something that a lot of people probably need to come to grips with. So I'll just ask you this: when he sold it out, was it enough to make back the cost of printing and all the cost of tables?
No.
Yeah.
No, and let me just say that is considering that this con that I went to, the first one that I went to, I got a real bad. It was good, but it was bad because this con was not like most cons. Me and a friend went to Albuquerque, New Mexico, which is 10 hours away from here.
A little bit of a drive, yeah.
It was just supposed to be not a big deal. And we got there, we got all set up. We were, look at that. We're right by the 501st Stormtrooper Brigade, and this is where everybody has to check their weapons. Ha ha ha. and we were just chatting with all the stormtroopers and stuff. It was really awesome. But then people started coming in, and it went from a couple hundred to 7,000 the first day, and we're in a Holiday Inn. Like, it was nuts. They were talking about how they were going to have to get the fire marshal because they were over capacity for the area. And like, we were right there, like ground zero, where everybody came in and they had to stop, and they did. And we sold out of everything we had. We were sketching the entire time. It was nuts. It was crazy.
Yeah.
So that gave me how it was bad is it gave me a unreal expectation of how cons are, because cons don't normally work out that way.
No.
Normally you just go and you sit, you talk to people who walk by, but it's not like they're going to be beating down, your table.
Yeah. And that comes into like another thing of marketing is you got to know how to draw people to your table, which if you're just like a one-person operation, that can get a little hard.
Yeah.
What I found ideal is if you know another friend or creator that's going to the con, ask them if they want to split a table. Because unless they have a publisher with a stipulation, they might be down to half their cost.
Yeah. That's the best thing to do.
And then bring a friend with you, or see if they're bringing a friend, because then you can have that friend either in cosplay or doing something to get out in front of people and drive them to your table. You need to dominate your space that you're in, which is pretty hard if you're stuck at a table like drawing commissions, or if you're a writer and you don't have commissions to do necessarily. Some advice I gave out to some people going to New York Comic Con this year was something I didn't do at Daytona, but I learned there that now I'll be doing going forward is get some 3x5s, or maybe even get some sketch covers, and then write out free haikus for people walking by.
Yes. Yeah. Recite make up some poetry, do some improv.
Yes.
If you're an artist, I would say when you go to a con, try to have stuff done that you can sell. Don't try to talk to people. Don't look down and draw the whole time, especially if somebody comes up to your table. But also, I would say try to do. And look, I'm not an expert or anything, but I'm just saying, I think it's best if you talk to people. Don't let them walk by.
Even just a hello.
Try to do. Try to keep your drawing light. Maybe do your commissions on something smaller than 11x17. Of course, you could, and you could fill up your time with that. But it's best if you're available and not, able to look up and see around you what's going on. That's just me. Now, you can do what you want. You can go there and just be quiet the whole time. I don't know how that'll work out for you, but yeah.
I'll talk a little bit where some heartbreak you might face now, where I'm at now currently as a writer, and what other writers will have to learn to expect is that if you're a writer and you don't know how to draw, you're going to get to a point where you have a script or several, and you I think I turned into Max Headroom again. You can't turn that into panels. So you're either going to have to find an artist who might be fresh out of art school or fresh out of high school, who's just looking to get credits to their name, or someone who's willing to collaborate for a pay on funding or pay on a market contract, which also learn how to draft contracts or get them from LegalZoom. And as a writer, expect to give yourself 15%. Your artist is going to spend much more time on the book than you are.
Yep.
Yeah. If you're going to lettering, you might be able to bump that up to 20. But
I would definitely say do as much as you can, because you will end up paying for a lot of stuff that honestly, you could do.
Yeah.
And not only that, it's a good idea to learn it anyway, right?
Yes.
I
I mean, that's I'm in the process of transferring my skills in painting to coloring, because color theory is the same. It's just a matter of how you apply it.
that's
But then,
exactly right.
yeah. So, but then if I can do the writing, the coloring, and the lettering, not only does that give me more utility, because then if someone else is looking for a colorist that I'm talking to in a writer's circle, I can be like, oh, actually, I could do that for you for whatever page rate. But and then when you're making your own book, you can negotiate yourself for a little more space with that.
Well, I also say what is good about learning stuff like coloring and art and lettering, and you have to letter it helps you with the process, because then all of a sudden you figure out, what it's like for your letterer
What
and what it's
can't be
like,
done. Yeah.
what it's like for, so when you're asking something, or you're doing your writing and you're putting all this stuff together, you see that, well, that's too wordy,
Mm-hmm.
or that's not wordy enough, or
Yeah.
so I mean, it gives you all of it helps. All of
Yeah.
it helps for sure.
Definitely. The other option you might be facing is, if you're in a position to do so, and you want to get a professional quality artist on your project who does not want to do a pay later contract, is you're going to have to save up a little bit of money.
Yep.
Ask them about their page rate and pay that page rate.
Yep.
Yeah. And I say that every time I'm on a panel or I'm talking about breaking out as a writer, the advice I always give is pay your artists.
Yeah.
This works on multiple levels. First, it makes sure your work gets done.
Yeah, that's right.
The second thing is, if you're in good standing with your artist, they talk with other artist friends.
It is yes, that
Yeah.
it is a small community. You'd be surprised how
Yes.
small of a community it actually is. Yes.
Yes. I mean, I'm what is still surreal to me. I'm connected with Jason Burrows, illustrator on X-Force and a bunch of other projects out, somewhat recently. And we're in a position where we can talk about drug use on Twitter. So, but the maintaining your reputation and just being decent to the people around you that you work with.
Yeah.
Yeah. And allows you to just very easily walk into those rooms and develop those conversations.
Well, I mean, who wants to, go to a con or something though, and have, I hope I don't see such and such there.
Exactly. Yeah. Or everyone has a horse race like, oh, this person's like a jerk, or this person cost my friend their job, or this person didn't pay my friend. And so now those people are kind of there isn't really a blacklisting in comics, but there's a blacklisting in comics.
Oh
yeah. Speaking of which, I alluded to this earlier, but talking about killing someone in a comic book. Something that made I didn't really make any money off Wolf Hunter. I made it for I wanted to make something cool that I hope other people find cool and fun, and I think I did that. But there's it's been out for a little bit now, so I'm going to spoil issue 1. There's a character that gets garroted with piano wire outside of London train station. The person who got piano wired is the only person.
Yeah, piano wired.
Yes,
That's good.
Is the only person who has ever screwed me in any sort of business dealing. And how bad they screwed me. They're currently in jail and will be unable to take out a loan for the rest of their life.
Man,
they defrauding an institution and defrauding an insurance company can carry consequences.
Yeah.
So I needed to work something out. So I had a German spy piano wire them at London Station.
But nobody will ever know that it was who it was.
So if you got some angst, some anger, some trauma you need to work out, comics, once you get get understanding of what you're going to be able to do with it, you're not going to get famous overnight, more than likely. You're not going to become the next Alan Moore or Jim Zub, more than likely. But you can absolutely work out some pent up rage.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing too. A lot of people, they may be afraid that my stuff's not good enough or not, all that kind of stuff. Let me just say that your stuff will never be good enough for like I hold myself up to a pretty high standard. I look at my stuff all the time and I'm like, it's hard. It's hard. You are your own worst critic.
Yes.
But the thing is if you never do it, if you never get out there and do it, then you got to start somewhere. You gotta. I mean, if you don't, then you'll never get anything done, obviously. And I forgot really where I was going with this, but that is, psyching yourself out, that is like the easiest thing to do.
Oh, yeah.
I know where I was going with this, is that you can't really do it within the thought in mind that you're going to get rich, or that it's going to be all, or on the other hand, that nobody will like it, because, the reason why you're doing it, you need to do it and have fun at it and enjoy it. And that's what it's about. And if you're not enjoying it, why do it anyway?
That's like the hourglass quote that I said last week. But if you're getting into comics, you're doing it because you have some sort of taste, and while taste is subjective, it's not exclusive. There's a whole reason why cult classics become cult classics, even if they're not the zeitgeist at the time. Enough people like it that it gets its own little following. And so if you like something, chances are someone else likes something. So if you create what you like, chances are someone else will like that.
And even if they don't, do you like it?
Yeah.
And if you like it, that's good enough. Oh, yeah. You're having fun doing it. So, why mess it up? And if you're doing it anyway, then you might as well go ahead and, print it. You might as well go ahead and, go all the way with it and see where it goes,
Yeah. The passion you're going to get from and the joy you're going to get from it is the joy you get from knowing you created something that is important to you is what keeps you passionate. That's kind of the takeaway from all this. Is that you have to be very internally driven. And that being said, if Marvel or DC came to me and said, like, hey, we want you to write the next X-Men, or we want you to write the next Bat Family, just chop off your legs. My legs are out the door yesterday. But if that never happens and I created what I wanted to create and had fun with it, yeah, good enough.
Yep.
So there we go. I feel like that's a good takeaway. We still got some time though. So
I'm gonna share my screen in just a second, but I have to go. I'll be right back.
Sure. We have some entertained here. So Chad, if you're in there, hopefully you've been enjoying.
Go ahead and sing that song you were singing earlier, Tim. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'll be right back.
Oh boy. Just in from comicbook.com, on my timeline at least. Werewolf by Night, first reactions. Super violent and morbid. That is exactly what I wanted. This may be my new favorite movie. So hopefully that is as hyper violent and morbid as they say. What else do they say about Werewolf by Night? Again, something that so speaking of creating something because you're internally motivated, Werewolf by Night, which had no aspirations when it first started, they got the reactions to the first trailer, and The reactions are super violent and morbid. So if you're into horror movies, not comic book movies or superhero movies, it's going to be a horror movie. So that's exciting to me.
Yeah, I like good horror movies. Horror,
yes.
not horror. Horror.
Yes. All right. So what are we working on here? I see perhaps some ninjas and some punching.
Yep, and butts. Look at all these butts.
Oh yeah. Yes.
We are working on. Let's see. Let me go up to panel number 1. Cat and mouse. Cat and mouse.
Yes.
Yep. I'm taking over on this one. And we got the burning building here. Look, early access. You see what you get for
checking our videos and live streams.
Yeah.
These things as they're being made. I also got some. I'll let you go ahead and talk about that. But when you're done, I got some show and tell for you this time.
Ooh. Yeah, it's coming out pretty good. This is the first time I've done these characters. I've done a lot of sketcheroo to try to get these characters down because I'm just I've read them, but I haven't done any of them until now. So which reminds me, I need to. Oh, go ahead.
Oh nope. I'm finishing up here. Something drops. I need to grab that real quick here. Oh nope, I got it. All right. So the first thing. So I've mentioned this on the stream a couple times before, but perhaps we all being nerds here. Perhaps one of the things I'm nerdest about is the Gundam series.
Yes.
I have several miniatures. And Gundam Evolution just came out on PC, so I've been playing the heck out of that. But I was at my local comic store before earlier in the week, and they normally do not have any like Gundam figures at all, which is surprising to me. But finally, they had a Zaku in, and not only that, but it's one of the LED Zakus. So when you assemble it, you have a glowing LED in the head that you can turn off and on with a battery pack.
That's cool.
Yeah, I have it set up with the gun here, but they also have a Heat Hawk axe that you can switch it out to.
So what is that? About a 4.5 inch?
About
4 inch?
About 4 inch. Yeah, I think it's a 4 inch. So that has been my most recent pickup besides there. But what came in the mail today? So if you also pre-ordered this. The trade of Berserker Volume 2 came out.
Oh, boy.
Yes. Our boy Keanu Reeves still at it.
Yep. He still looks pretty good, too. I mean, he's kind of getting up there, isn't he?
He's older, yeah. But, yeah, I think maybe it's the clean eating and the staying active, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean...
it's not the sad life?
No.
I'm just kidding. That's probably not a good joke, but
but no, he's. I think perhaps the trauma that he's went through is what made him be more conscientious about the way he's living. But yeah,
I hear such good things about him. The stuff he does for people and all. Man,
yeah, the stuff he does. Awesome. Yeah, the fact that he owns a motorcycle company, which essentially serves like a second chance employer as well as a way to just raise funds for charity.
Yeah.
So, super cool guy. But that's my bad.
Don't you wish they could all be that way?
Oh yeah, you wish, but no. There you go. Well, what have you had new in your life this week, Mr. Quentin?
Let's see. Pickups. Let's see. Let me think. There's been stuff. There has been stuff that I've picked up. I hope my wife's not watching. Because some of it she doesn't know about. Let me find. There was something. What was it? McFarlane exclusive Superman Hush. Let me get him. And also Deathstroke. All right, let me get him real quick.
There you can see Quentin in his natural habitat. Yeah, Quentin Bedwell, much shorter than you expect. If you see him at convention, you'll learn that. Just seeing you walk around in the background, feel like you have to do like the nature documentary. Like, well, there's Mr. Bidwell in his natural habitat.
Yes. This is the Deathstroke.
Yes, that's so good.
The comic accurate one, not the Arkham Asylum one. I have the Arkham Asylum one, but you're gonna love this guy, man. This looks so awesome. This is like the best. This is from the Hush series.
Yeah.
You see his face, man. He's about to laser somebody. But also the cool thing about this one is, for the first time, and I hope he starts doing this on his Superman, he actually put the logo on the back of the cape.
Oh.
So on the other ones, it's not on there. But this Superman right now, for me, this is definitive Superman. He's put out a few Superman, and they look really good. Like he did the Comics 1000 one, and he did the New 52 one, which looks pretty good. This is pretty much the same body as the New 52, but aside from the trunks and the boots and stuff. But this one, and I love this mean man. He looks like he's about to blow a hole in somebody. Other than that, there's been a few little pickups. Like a lot of I actually have been collecting a few of those little Spin Masters. I showed you some of those, but also I've been working on my Mandalorians, so I picked him up.
Nice.
Yeah. And I got a steal on this guy, $15 for him.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I love McFarlane stuff, and man, he is putting so much stuff out right now. And like, I don't even hear about it until it's already hitting the stores. Like, he's got a Kyle Rayner coming out now that's hitting Target, and it's really nice.
Yeah.
There's there's a lot of stuff he's doing. He's fixing to put out the Arkham Asylum Catwoman and a few others. But anyway, that's me. I'm trying to, and this is going to sound a little crazy, but if you look it up, it's pretty cool. I'm trying to get my hands on a dollhouse, a big dollhouse, and I want to paint it black, and I want to make a haunted house diorama out of it. So I've got these little skeletons that I want to, anyway, look it up, dollhouse, haunted house, and you'll see what I'm talking about. You can do some really cool stuff with them. But after I get done with it, though, I want to turn it into the X-Men mansion to go with my X-Men, so I can put them up, Yeah. But I'll have to get an area. I might probably be behind the door there. Yeah.
Nice.
Anyway, I have to figure it out. I did get a Beastman as well, Revelation Beastman. I already had one, but they had these guys on sale. Usually, I think it was like 30 something when it came out.
Dang.
But $16, I couldn't pass. I couldn't
That's
pass
half off,
on it.
just about.
Yeah, I had to get it. Even though I've already got one. And these guys, I already have all these deluxes, but they had them for $6. I gotta do it. Gotta do it. It's not good for me to go to the store when I tell you something about Target. Target may be high on quite a bit of stuff, but man, when they put something on sale, they want that stuff out of there.
Oh yeah, Target. I try to avoid Target now. I get all my groceries at Trader Joe's if I'm trying to be a responsible adult. But when I go to Target, I always end up leaving with a board game or a figure or something.
Yeah.
Walmart now is also bad because they have the collection of Marvel or DC comics and so like even if I'm not reading the following the series, I just like to have them.
Yeah, our target is just okay. It's not great. And whenever I was looking around for G.I. Joe Classified and stuff, I talked to a guy that works there, and he told me the issue is that our target is like a kind of a small target,
right?
And so they kind of get the leftovers. So they don't really get the best stuff all the time.
There you go. The next time I'm in the Portland Target, I'll send you a picture from the toy aisle and see if you need me to save anything.
Oh, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do it, Tim. Yeah, you don't need to, add to my habit.
Right. Well, I feel like this has been as good a place as any to call it. I feel like we actually came to a concise and conclusive point. I feel like on this conversation, perhaps for the first time ever in the show history.
And we kind of stuck to it, right?
Yeah,
we had story time and all.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I did some artwork for. I don't know if there's any toy people here, but I did some artwork for a couple channels. One of them being the 3POA podcast.
Mm-hmm.
That's got Tony Roberts, Bobby Valla, founder of Valaverse. Let's see. Tony is Analog Toys and Laser Pants 81.
No.
So anyway, also did some shirt designs for them. Did some artwork for another show that they have, and these guys have lots of subscribers. We're talking thousands. So if you want to go over there, they're going to be selling some shirts and stuff, some 3POA shirts, some loose but complete is the other show that they have. They're going to be selling some of those. So if y'all are interested, if you're toy people, if you're collectors, then that's the place to be. You can pick you up some good merch there. But also we got some Silverline merch that we sell. I think it's on Zazzle, right?
Yes, we're on Zazzle.
Yeah. Got some mugs and got some shirts.
Great to see you, Mr. Clinton, and the new and improved Mr. Peter. That's right. I am also Peter Clinton.
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Tommy, I can't even believe he's on. He's got internet connection with, I figured Ivan would have slapped his hand and took it away from him.
I think it's a little bit before the hit, but yeah, Tommy's holding on there. He posted some illustrations he did in the chat. So, yeah, some Mickey it looks like. Let's see. I guess more news going forward. We are doing a Silverline Vampire the Masquerade game session Tuesday the 25th.
Yes,
for Halloween. So I'll be talking in the group chat if anyone needs to go over the rules or to roll a character. Perhaps setting that up through some Facebook calls or something like that.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to do a character.
Yes, that'll be fun. And was there something else? Oh, I think it might be it.
That's it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So we can look forward to that, and also we will be as dressed up or as in costume as possible.
Yes.
Okay. Tommy's let us know the hurricane won't be here until later tomorrow.
Later tomorrow. Y'all are getting the bands though right now, right? And some of the wind. The wind.
Yes.
Boy, I remember that. I grew up in southern Mississippi, and I lived in Gulfport, Mississippi, for years. And holy moly, dude! Yeah, that was craziness. Yeah, I've been keeping up with it. I haven't kept up with hurricanes in years because we don't have anything like that over here in Texas.
Yes. Oh, the other thing I was going to say, we do have the. I did submit, or not already submit, but shared and sent the Winnie the Pooh vampire pitch. So I know the artists on Tuesday show are a little busy, but Roland does have access to it. So if you guys are interested in that, go harass him. Tell him to send that around to people that need projects. I pressure him into making Winnie the Pooh, the Vampire series.
Yes.
Right. Theater bands, not much in Orlando. So, yeah, I imagine middle of the night until morning is where everyone's going to start getting more wind before it actually kicks in. Remember when I lived in Orlando? That was always a fun time of year.
Yes. Yeah. It's that's what it was in Gulfport. It's a lot of times stuff would come through and they'd be, hey, y'all better do this and do that, and
Mhm.
and a lot of times it'd just be, it would come and leave, and it really wouldn't really do anything.
No.
But then every now and then one
You
would
get
come
one
along
that
that would just scrape your house off the foundation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was there, we had a hurricane come through. I can't remember which one it was, but we did the precautions. We buttoned down. We got everything set up in backup power supplies. Duct taped our windows, all that fun stuff. We were fine, except for several trees which managed to fall on just about every carport except ours. So us and our neighbors were fine, but the people in the other buildings in the complex, not so much.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, that's the big thing, right? There's not usually a huge loss of life during hurricanes. The thing is all the cleanup, man.
So the
Oh
cleanup,
my
all
goodness.
the property damage.
Yeah. Whenever Katrina came through the year before, we had a tornado hit us and like knocked off the end of our house, and we had just got cleaned up. I mean, and then a year later, boom, Katrina.
We had we had a little bit of an ongoing joke in one of our D&D campaigns. We were essentially part of an insurrection and a messy occupation, and so we did the strategy you're supposed to do, which is you just make it too expensive for the occupying force. So the joke was, it's not about taking their lives, it's about the property damage.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, hopefully Tommy and everyone there stay safe. Tommy said he won't even make a sweat until it's Cat 4, which is true. When I started thinking it was a Cat 2, and we just had a hurricane party on the top of the complex. Everyone got a little schwasty, but
maybe we can get Tommy and all them to get in on our game.
Yeah,
I wonder if that'd be possible.
We'll see. I will post in the Silverline chat here shortly. See if anyone there also wants to join for Vampire the Masquerade. As I do know we do have some role players in the group. Hopefully not too many that it becomes
unmanageable. Yeah,
unmanageable. Yeah, don't hurt too many cats, but we'll see if how many people want to jump in on that, because it should be a fun time. But yeah, outside of that, this has been That Silverline Show on Tuesday. Any parting thoughts, Mr. Quentin?
Stay safe.
Yeah, stay safe. If you want to follow us on our socials, they are scrolling at the bottom of the screen now. Just about everyone is on Instagram. Mackenzie and I are on Twitter, where you can see me, mostly joke post and memes. So that's where you can find us. We have stuff there. If people have commissions open, go ahead and commission something from one of our artists. Give them a little bit of cash to pay the bills.
Not me though. Leave me alone.
Quinn's too busy.
I've got this, and I've got a cover that I need to actually start tonight for Steam Patriots. I'm actually pretty excited about it.
That should be very good. All right, yeah, Quentin just posted, or Tommy just posted an update photo in the group chat. Looks like Ian is off the southwest coast, but it is whipping those winds around up towards Orlando and Daytona.
Ugh.
Yeah, so Not too spicy yet, but hopefully everyone stays safe. This has been That Silverline Show on Tuesday. We'll see you next week, 8 p.m. Pacific time. You can also check out Wednesday Wham, 8 p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays, and Silverline Sundays, 8 p.m. Eastern on Sundays. So we will catch you then. Until then,
make mine Silverline.
All right. That was very good.
Yeah, I was going to tell you, Tim, that...
Hi, my name is Sergio Cariello, and make mine Silverline.